Not The Footy Show.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to Not The Footy Show, episode 203 here on YouTube. Rob Cox and I go into depth in regards to the Simply the Best campaigns from Fox and the NRL, which one we like better, what we have done differently, and there's a really cool story that Rob has around the 1995 ARL promo. It was still Simply the Best, involving the new teams from Auckland, North Queensland Cowboys, the South Queensland Crushers, believe it or not, they existed, and also the Western Reds. It's an interesting story, and yes, a bit juvenile reaction from us, but it was pretty funny.
Not The Footy Show.
The Super League war tears the code apart.
Okay, we're back. It's Not The Footy Show 203. Rob Cox is talking with myself, Warrick Nicolson. We have wasted a good hour and 10 minutes of your life so far. That's what we promise here on Not The Footy Show, is wasted space. Speaking of space that has been used, though, to open the season, as short as it may be, the NRL went back to Simply the Best over the off-season. We knew, just through various contacts we had, that was definitely coming. It emanated with a ad that was about 2 minutes long, or a promo that was 2 minutes long, that got cut down about a week later from the NRL. They got rid of some things and they relaunched it. At the same time, Fox Sports released a Jimmy Barnes version of Simply the Best, or they just call it the Best. Cocksmith, you've seen both. We haven't had a chance to really go through it. We're not going to spend a heck of a lot of time, just the interest of time, with the podcast, but what's your gut feel in regards to did the game get it right? Forget whether Fox Sports or NRL got it right individually. Did the game get it right going back to this song?
Yeah, the song, definitely. Yeah, the song's a cracker. It's great.
Yep.
As I've said to you in the past, I think the other Tina Turner song was better, but only because I like that ad, that what you get is what you see ad. But I think, Simply the Best. Why not? I think it's a great ad. I think it's I think it's a great song.
Yes.
For the ad. To answer your question, yes, they got it right.
When I was at the NRL, that was the one thing I think we went through. Robbie Williams, Light It Up.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you. I don't think we had a song in 2016.
My House, Bon Jovi.
Oh,
Didn't
yeah.
they do that one?
That was 2013. I would have just loved the opportunity to play in the sandbox of Simply the Best when I was doing social there. And
did I ever tell you I've got a little story, a little war story.
Ooh.
Did I ever tell you, when they ran Simply the Best, they ran it from 1990 to 1994,
I think. Off that 95, I think. The last year, I think it was.
What was the year Tina Turner was at the grand final?
That was 93, but then
That was my first grand final that I shot at.
It was, so I know that they definitely had it in. I'm pretty sure they had it in 95 because there is because they had Canberra lifting the trophy as part of the ad.
Okay, so that whole ad that was done in 95, I was there on the shoots.
Ooh.
Because I was working for the New South Wales Rugby League at the time.
Yep.
They employed me to go and shoot behind the scenes photographs of the ad.
Yep.
And the ad was originally shot by a guy, shot and directed by a guy called, it's not an unfortunate name, but his name was Dick Marks. And he's a guy from Brisbane. Why are you laughing?
I just saw something funny on Twitter.
Yeah, don't laugh. Look, no, but mate, this...
Sorry, everybody. That's juvenile, but gee, it's funny. Can't believe you haven't mentioned this before.
been in bloody school again, was. Look, let me get to it, right? So I think it was about a 3-day shoot, and mate, there was all sorts of interesting things happening. They had a factory over at Alexandria that had like chin-up bars and weight benches and stuff like that, and they had Brad Clyde on the chin-up bar. And,
yeah, definitely 95 because they had Western Reds and Crushers and all that sort of stuff.
And one of the real interesting ones was they had I guess it was like a stage that had a glass deck on it, and Rod Wishart kicked a kick from this, and they shot it from underneath, up underneath. It was amazing. It was really good to see a really cool film set like that. And mate, it took them 3 days to shoot it, and there was fans, and they have like little 20 or 30 fans, but they made it look like there was 300 there, in the block. So that's I never got to meet Tina.
No,
so
she didn't. I don't think she'd come back out. She didn't come out of the country again after '93.
So was that the year that Barnesy and Tina?
No, I think Barnesy and Tina may have been 92. I want to say 92, 93. I think, because she came out that 93 performance with the bloke in the leather as well. And that performance, that was and she obviously lip synced a lot of it, but that's all right. She still probably sung it, but they obviously piped through the main song. But definitely 95 was the last year, because that's when they transitioned to ARL, and then obviously we had the Super League thing happen, so it all fell by the wayside. But back to that's a great story, by the way. I'd love to see it. It'd be interesting. Do you reckon you have any of the photos left?
No, they'd be in the archive that the NRL's got, though.
They would be if they'd been uploaded. That's the other part.
No, they'd be. I shot a lot of it on film, so it probably wasn't digitised.
That's what I mean.
Some of it would have been. Some of it would have been, but
that's cool. In terms of the ads themselves, as I said, I think they're good.
What do you like about them? What do you like about them? I
like the fact that it's harking back to what I think is the most powerful thing in league, which is your memories of what it was like to be young and naive in how you followed the game. I think that has a real influence on, and a positive influence on how you see rugby league. I think if you entered rugby league now, you'd struggle to really get into it. And it's something that I'm observing with my nephew. He really, in the last 12 months, he's 14. He's liked the Raiders because I like the Raiders, and I bought him Raiders gear and stuff like that over the years. But this last year or so has been his introduction. And what I'm seeing in him is not too dissimilar to what I went through, where I was a youngster and Canberra were good. So I grand finals every year, and I got into it. And my brother was a big Tigers fan, so we loved rugby league. But he's being lucky in that Canberra are good when he's decided to follow them. And I think that has a bit of an influence, and this is why Simply the Best is, I think, a really good choice in the way that they've done the ad to a degree, is that they've shown what you went through as a kid for a lot of people, which was that this was something that you definitely pull out of that growing up period, even if you're a little bit older. And I think they've done well to capture that. What I think that they've fallen down a little bit, and I know people that have worked this campaign, so I just want to be honest in regards to something that I think the NRL is hamstrung by, is that, and I experienced this firsthand when I was there, is that they try and be everything to everyone in a 30-second or a 1-minute ad. And I think that's really hard to do. And that is something that I think Simply the Best does a really good job of, is that because it hits that emotional beat, that heartstring with people, that you immediately go back into a happy place. And that's why I think it's such a great song, and it's a really good choice as a campaign. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think Fox quite captured that as well. I think it was more because it was Jimmy, and Jimmy's just older, and I don't think the song had the same oomph behind it that the Tina version did. And I think that's where I would say that the whole thing is good, but I don't think it's great. And whether that meant you had to get Tina involved, I know she's quite old now, but as I said, I think it sits in the good category, but it doesn't sit in the great category. And I think where it struggles a little bit is that they didn't quite go down the exact formula that had worked before, which is that players being a little bit playful. I think that's probably the mark that I think they missed. They went with a bit more of the, the steely kind of look, I'm preparing for it all. Whereas those old ads, they had something in there which was the players are doing that, but they're having a great time. And maybe you needed Tina in that environment to make it happen. Maybe that was just capturing that moment way back when. But that's probably the area that I think there wasn't that playful element of we're having a great time being part of the game, as opposed to we're preparing for the game. And I think if that's the biggest thing they missed, I think it's that.
Yeah, look, just looking back at I didn't really like either ad. I didn't hate them. I just didn't really, that neither of them captured me very much. Whereas, and I'm showing my age here a little bit, but the 89 and 90 ads I loved. Yeah. Because in 89 and 90, I was still playing football then, and it felt like, I don't know, they're just very nostalgic to me, and I love those campaigns. The campaigns initially were to, obviously sell a little bit of sexiness about rugby league players to women, to involve more women as supporters and whatnot. But these ads had a different kind of agenda, I feel. We can't sell sexy players anymore because it's not PC. So they tended to take a little bit, in my eyes, a bit more of a political turn. Yep. And I just don't like it when politics and sport meet very much. Yeah. I think that one is a very kind of domineering, not domineering, but one's a very dark kind of pastime, politics, and the other one's a happy thing, But hey, obviously some people at headquarters thought that it was the right message to send out, and who knows, it may well have been. The Jimmy one for Fox, I know that was shot very quickly. They didn't have much time. It was quite rushed. I got asked to help with that one, and I couldn't do it because I was booked on something else. Yep. But I know that it was a very short call time. It was a 4-hour a shoot, which is quite quick, and you can see it from a production level that it was quite quickly put together. Yep. But look, it looked more like to me like a rugby league commercial. Yeah,
I liked the imagery that they put into the rising dust and that stuff. That was cool.
Yeah. Look, but hey, you know what? The song choice. We go back to the song choice. Doesn't bother me too much whether Jimmy's singing it or Tina, although I do prefer the Tina one. Yeah. It's just a great song, and it's a great song for rugby league. And I think that Arthurson and Quayle back in the day really pulled the right rein when they got that song involved in rugby league, because no matter what happens from here on in, it'll be forever remembered as a rugby league song, which is great. So.
Final point on that from, I think, purely, and you say it's a production element, but one of the greatest sounds, and I touched on the last week's show this is the intro, but the sound of that plane landing into the really slow dun, 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 dun. That to me is almost as powerful as when she's belting out Simply the Best.
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
On the NRL ad in particular, they didn't have that lead in. They jumped straight into her singing. And I know that in this day and age and I know this working in social, I've got to get it out really short and sharp and get right to the point and don't lose your audience. But to me, that little 15 seconds,
the little build,
it's just, it makes a huge difference. And that's where I think, if I'm going to be critical of the way that the NRL ad gets put together, it starts with a TV screen with a little kid. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm not jumping into that. That's not something I'm not immediately going, that's rugby league.
Yeah.
And that to me is where I'm talking about trying to put too many things into one ad. They're trying to play the whole, this is like a little kid when he was here. And I'm like, no, just start me off with Tina. I don't care if it's archival vision of her just tapping her toes.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, look, mate, this goes back to what we discussed away from doing the podcast, is that unfortunately a lot of the stuff at NRL, at headquarters, is decided by committee. And there will have been someone that would have thought that the little girl and the TV would somehow evoke emotions from people. And there would have been a checklist. There would have been a checklist of probably 10 or 12 things that needed to be ticked off to, you know, for a successful, you know, what they would have deemed to be a successful ad. So, look, I feel sorry for the people at the NRL, because quite often things there can't be too many decisions made unless it's a committee. You know, so it's pretty hard to get a lot done a lot of the time. I know that they get through a lot of stuff at the NRL. I'm not, you know, trying to head kick or anything like that, because I can only look from the outside looking in at that level. But committees and subcommittees and, you know, juries, and we all know the pain of those kind of things.
And I'm sure there were focus groups. On the
Yeah, but you know, despite all that, they got a good ad out.
Yeah, they did.
An ad that we could probably both agree passes muster, with a great song behind it. So
there is one challenge that comes out of all this, though, Cocksmith. You've used up the simpler the best bullet.
Oh yeah,
What do you use next?
Well, I think you've got to look. It's hard, you know, because again, I'm of an older generation, but there was an ad recently in the last 4 years, anyway, that Fox had that I thought was one of the better rugby league commercials, and that was the Indigenous rapper guy. I can't remember his name, but I think the song was called "My House" or "Our House" or something. "My House." I'll send it to you.
Yeah,
it's a really good one. And it was shot beautifully, and the footage of it was superb. So I don't know. Do you go with an old song or a new song? I said to you in the break before, I always thought "Hit Me With Your Best Shot" by Pat Benatar would have been a great song. Do you use "What You Get Is What You See" again?
I would.
Do we go backwards?
Hey.
I don't know.
I would.
But look, there's plenty of great songs out there that can be used. I think the trick with the ad is, you know, getting people's emotions and a slight little bit of nostalgia feeling without going down the political path too hard, you know.
And I think keeping it simple, one of the beauties of doing that is it's very rewatchable.
Sure.
And if you're trying to pack all this stuff into your 90 seconds or your 30 seconds, people just go, well, that's nice. But they don't go, let's watch that again.
Yeah.
And that when you're talking about things that you and I are involved in, and that's storytelling as far as I'm concerned, is how can I tell them a story that they want to see again, that they should come back for.
And you don't have to tell someone the whole story.
No, because that's the beauty of the season. Well, hopefully a season. But that's the beauty of the season, is how's the season going to go? How's the story going to continue?
Yeah. But if you're like me, you find yourself sometimes getting on YouTube and watching those ads again from the 90s. What sells you on them? I mean, that's the question. Why do you keep going back and looking at them? Is it purely nostalgia, or is there something in there that triggers you? That
I think that has a huge part. But that's the thing. Nostalgia on any level, sporting, culturally, it hits us in the heart. Not just in what kind of looks cool. And cool is huge. Don't get me wrong. Cool is what sells these days. But you've got to. You can't ignore the fact that there are things that have formed people's opinions of things, or their favoritism towards things, and you got to feed that. And rugby league, we heard Volandis talk about it earlier today. You know, rugby league is part of that. Australia without rugby league is not Australia, is what he said, which is a pretty big slogan. But the fact is, rugby league has that bit in people that is just, you just got to remind me one or two good reasons why I like this game, and you've got me. You got me back, because you can have 1,000 people that'll say, "Oh, I'm never coming back to rugby league. I'm not renewing I'm not going to renew my membership and all." But then their team wins, and it's like, "Oh, I love the game again."
Oh, yeah.
You know,
and the amount of people. I've got a really good mate, a good friend of mine who's a journalist, and the amount of times he says to me, "I'm not watching rugby league again," and 2 weeks later I'll say to him, "Mate, did you see that? Did you see that forward pass in the Titans game?" And he'll go, "Oh yeah, I couldn't believe it." I'm like, "Yeah, hold on, I thought you weren't watching rugby league anymore." And he's like, "Yeah, you got me, all right." Yeah, but look, it comes and goes, but it is a mainstay of our autumn and winter lives, So, it's but the ads to me are kind of like time markers, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were saying before about the songs. That's my team. What you get is what you see. Blah blah blah. So,
Chumbawamba. Tom Jones for crying out loud. At least you okay, I'll put one more name here. When I say Billy Thorpe, do you think rugby league?
No, I don't.
He did the Friday night's a great night for football.
That's right.
And that to me that's the early 90s.
What about Billy Idol? Do you think about him when you think of rugby league?
I was there that night, mate. I just went for some power. And nothing happened. It's one of the great nights.
Oh, mate, they had everything. They had Steve Stevens on stage. I was ready for Steve to, melt my face off with some guitar playing.
Yeah.
And the hovercraft came out, and then nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. Duck egg.
Not the Footy Show.
So that's episode 203. Go check it out on iTunes and Spotify. You can get it at wnicholson.com. We'd love to hear some feedback either down here in the comments on YouTube, on the iTunes. Give us a rating. That'd be fantastic. Or you can just let us know via one of our social handles, which are here and everywhere.
Not the Footy Show.
Pepsi.